Hello everyone, welcome to our Let's Play series of Fallout 2. This is Colonel RPG as usual, and I'm very happy that you chose to join me today as we try to mess with this lady over here that has been put into an hibernation chamber. I think she is Chinese, I believe. I think she's supposed to be sort of a ninja or something like that. Last episode we messed around with Dex over here, and he's a compulsive liar. Actually, I'd have a lot of fun reading his stuff. It was well written, I believe. In my opinion, anyway, so that was pretty fun, and that we basically spent the whole episode messing with that. But this episode is gonna go by. I mean, at least this girl is gonna go by a little bit faster because last episode I didn't know how to open that, and it was all a big mess. So let's see. They've launched their nukes. Yeah. So this is the log entry. Subject A. There it is. It's finally happened. Oh, wait a minute. Why? Yeah, Chinese looking. Okay, she was quite a looker, petite, Chinese looking, and there was something about her eyes. She took down 2 Secret Service agents. That's why I think she's yeah, with a scalpel and all that sort of stuff. That's why I think she's a kitsune. That's I don't remember where I know this name from, but I know it from somewhere. But that's why I believe that she's like a ninja, supposed to be like a ninja. Of course, when I say ninja, a ninja really is just a secret agent. That's what it means, it's to be a secret agent. You don't need to need ninjutsu, it's not a thing, basically. It's a post-fact thing that was invented for ninja, but yeah, we just have the traditional depiction of ninja, and of course, the US had that back then, back in the 50s already, so it's very much the same thing, so that's why I'm interpreting it like that. But fun fact, or maybe not some fun fact, ninjas didn't actually exist as we think they did. Well, you know, they did, but just ninjas could be anybody. Just a beggar could be a ninja, just because he wasn't a secret agent. He was an informer, for example. And he didn't dress like a ninja or had form-fitting, that's the one. Form-fitting clothes, of which I'm a very big fan of. Kitsune, let's retrieve her. Okay, so everything in heart rate is specimen normal. Please proceed to the cryo chamber, and let's see if I don't get killed. She's really naked. This time around, a little bit more exposed than that beautiful man over there as well was. Let's see what I can do here. An open hibernation chamber, a body of a white female lies naked inside. Hello. Before you lies an open tank with icy cold water slowly being drained through a long serpentine pipe. Inside, a woman naked from head to toe lies grasping and shivering. Looking around quickly, you snatch a bundle of loose clothing from a nearby locker and drape them over her for warmth. Whoa, that had to be some trip. Are you alright? Yes, the preservator restored my body temperature. Well, not all of it, it looks like. You give it some time for her teeth to stop chattering. She recovers much quicker than you expect her to, and looks up at you with sudden gravity. Is it over? Is what over? The war. All those nukes. Yeah, the war ended long ago. Finished about as soon as it started, actually. And she brushes wet strands of hair from her eyes. You notice one eye is brown, while the other is emerald green. Who won? Is that another reference to... I don't know. No one won, basically. She looks at you blankly. She's very easy on the eyes, especially for someone who was just thawed out of a block of ice. When 90% of the world is scorched to a crispy brown, I'd say it's hard to declare a clear winner. I mean, there wasn't much left worth winning, to be honest. But actually, we don't know who won, because the US government actually did survive. So, if the war is between governments, because unless it's a civil war, it always is... you could say that the US at least didn't die? But of course, this is, yeah. There's a quote, in war, only death is the winner, or something like that. There's a quote by, it's an old quote. But yeah, basically the sentiment here. What date is it? What year? Is it still 2077? Hell no. And I'm gonna show her the date on my Pip-Boy. She stares at the flickering screen, frozen in time like she never left the tank. Are we alright? My god, I don't believe it. I was in that thing for over a century? Yep, seems like it. Hey, listen. Don't look at me like that. I had nothing to do with putting you in there. Hell, my grandpa wasn't even alive back then. I just stumbled upon the location of this place and decided to check it out. Well, will you help me up? Or would you... or would like it better if I continued sitting naked at your feet? Well, I don't think there's a very... Why would I smirk since you're giving me a oh, yeah, okay. Oh, since you're giving me a choice. I think this might result in my death. That's why I saved before I messed with her. I also saved before I actually released her from the cryo chamber. But let's go with this one. Yeah, I was just about to. But I think she's gonna... That's the reason why... Yeah, she wouldn't need that. She wouldn't need that. Especially with all the signs of her recovering very quickly. Why did you wake me, she says. I have this... Let's go with this one. It sounds interesting. I have this terrible habit of touching everything I encounter. One thing led to another. You say you didn't even work in this place? Yep, that's what I said. Well, then if you hadn't come along, she says, I would have been stuck in that thing even longer. Maybe forever. And she pulls one of the shirts you wrapped her in over her head. What's it like now, the world out there? You said 90% of it was destroyed? Yeah, my world is a wasteland where every day is a struggle for survival. Most people have taken shelter in the ruined remains of the old ones. Others, like my tribe, attempt to forge a simple existence in the harsh wilderness. Truth told, it would be centuries before it even comes close to recovering. It can't possibly be as bad as it sounds. She doesn't sound like she's convinced of one word she said. Well, it's nothing like America 2077, that's for sure. And she pulls a pair of pants on. So what now? Well, we never did properly introduce ourselves. My name is Daryl. What's yours? You can call me Kitsune. Kitsune? What were you doing cryoed away in that tank? I don't know for sure. They knew the war was about to happen, so they put me in a preservator like the others. Do you have any clue what this place is? Well, from what I know, it's a brand of United States Environmental Protection Agency. A branch, not a brand, a branch. I was in Arizona when the war happened. I was taken here immediately. No. Oh, she was frozen after the war. That's why she remembered. Sorry, sorry this sound, if you heard anything, it's just me messing with the thing. She was alive after the war, so she knows about the war because of that. That makes sense. I forgot about that particular detail. You must have been a pretty important person for them to want to preserve you. Were you a chosen one like me? Well, not exactly. I was a homemaker, married to a councilman. Before that, I wrote for several different news publications. It wasn't what you'd call a terribly exciting life. What happened to him, your husband? I don't know. Probably one of the billions of casualties. I doubt any of my family made it through the war. My god, even if they did, it's been so long, everyone I knew is dead. Well, there's goals, but yeah. She bites her lip and her eyes start to shimmer with tears, but she quickly wipes them away and sighs. Bring yourself to control. What are you going to do now? I don't know. What do you do when you've been hibernating for over a century? Even bears don't sleep that long. The world out there isn't the world I knew. I don't know if I could stand to see what it's turned into. Well, I know it's a wasteland out there, but you've still got a whole life to live. You're wasting it down here. Come with me and maybe we can make something of it. You know, you're right. I could go back to being frozen and sleeping I could go back to being frozen and sleep it off for another 100 years. But that would be the cheap way out. I need to see for myself what the world's become and play a part in putting it back together. Well, come then. Let's go grab a Bremen steak first thing. You've got enough people already. Yeah. Okay, so we heard that thing being opened. I wonder if I could... Let's see what happens. Nah, she took it all already. She looks... Well, she's just... Her eyes are different colors. One of them brown and as malm brick, the other bright green. Okay. That's called poly... something or other. It's poly... something. Okay. Oh, that's not what I need. I need my glasses. So she will come with me. Because she will overlook how crowded my team is. Yeah, let's go. Let's see how she is. Kitsune, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't have been frozen in a cryo tank for no good reason. I'm interested in knowing what it was exactly you did before you were put on ice. Why do you care? It's in the past. Yeah, well, we're on the road together. I want to know more about you. Well, I suppose there's no need for secrecy anymore. It's just hard to break a lifelong habit. You see, I was pretty much born a spy. Go on. My father was Chinese, but he and his family were no friends of the Chinese government. He was born in Beijing, but got the most important aspect of his education here in the States. When he returned home, and he got a job as a public servant, he had already been recruited by the Americans as an intelligence agent. Oh, I'm not overly familiar with the politics of your time, but I think I follow what you're saying. Your dad was Chinese, but he was secretly a spy for the Americans. So did the Chinese ever suspect him? Well, my father worked at the Ministry of Agriculture for 38 years, she says. All right, I guess that's a no. So when did you enter the picture? Well, one day, an aide to the official my father was working for caught him making copies of secret documents. Well, that couldn't have been a good thing. Actually, it didn't turn out so bad. You see, she thought along the same line as my father, and within a couple of months, they were married. Oh, so some guys have all the luck, huh? Wait a minute. No, yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, they had me a year later. I was raised in China under the facade of a patriot. In school, I'd write about how China was strongest when unified, and how we had to continue to strive towards social equity. Or equality, not equity. When I was older, I wrote for nationalist newspapers and participated in debates supporting the ruling party. Your parents took great pains to make sure your family's true loyalties were stayed secret, I guess. All warfare is based on deception. My parents loved their country. They just hated the people who ran it and thought it would be better off as a democracy. The way they saw it, they weren't betraying China. They were working against a government they didn't believe was good for it. Oh, come on. Oh, man. Not a whole lot of things is written in lore about China and their internal, well, in the first two games anyway, and their internal structure and politics. But a lot is written about the US, and the general sentiment of Fallout and the development of Fallout is actually very, very important to understand the lore of Fallout, is just a pervasive distrust of the government that is transmitted to the player. So that's why Vault-Tec is buddies with a government and has all the things that go on with the vaults. And if you don't know what the reason for the vault's existence is, you should play Fallout 1. And actually, in this game, we're also going to learn that, but I'm not going to spoil it for you if you haven't played Fallout 1. But yeah, so that's among other things, really. The Brotherhood of Steel was created because of a distrust for the government, and they are the good part of the Brotherhood of Steel is basically because they actually are traitors to the army, and that's how they were born. So they just all around. That's the That's the political message of Fallout. And this one is just cookie cutter, right? This is just cookie cutter. This is basically even. It's not even related to China in the 50s, really, which was, well, not. I'm not very good in Chinese history though, so I can't really say. But to my knowledge, China in the 50s was more a traditional. Was much closer to what Russia was at the time as well, and then it evolved into what it is today, which you can see clear lines of evolution as a country from what it was, but of course it kind of took a turn in many regards Russia didn't take, and it's just this is cookie cutter Chinese. This is the cookie cutter attitude towards the Chinese government, really. It's just, freedom of speech, they want to implement that. Because China is, despite all its flaws, it's still, despite being considered a underdeveloped country, it kind of only is that because of how tricky it is to accommodate so many people. And especially with the way they run their country. It's very tricky. It's Asia. Asia is always going to be very, very tricky. And of course, the big cities are very, very developed, and there's a lot of riches and a lot of. It's a normal country in many regards as well. But the big problem is always going to be the lack of democracy and the lack of free speech. So I think they might have. I would be more. This is a direct comment to the writing here, and I'm not sure if this was written or even summarized by the developers, or if it's all the developers of the Restoration Project. But my take on this is that China, or the attitude that she could have had, would be more interesting if it were, for example, a direct reference to I don't know, 1984, for example, where a big brother would rule everything, because Orwell's world was indeed kind of like that, and it would be interesting if they had twisted that world a little bit to fit China and to fit the US as well, so it would be a comment on the US of the time as well. I personally would have written a completely different thing over here that would have been a little bit more interesting, I feel. So this way, just, whatever. I feel no connection whatsoever. I mean, I'm all for democracy, really, of all the systems that humanity has come up with. The democracy is politics is always going to be evil. It's my experience and my opinion. So democracy is the lesser of all evils, I suppose. So let's see. Yeah, go on. Sorry to go on that tangent, but I feel this is all new stuff to me. So I'm just, and I do have strong opinions about Fallout lore, and I just feel that this could have been handled a little bit more interestingly, especially after on the back of that guy over there. She's not interesting, and she doesn't even turn against me or anything. It's just no choices whatsoever. I mean, it doesn't seem to be anyway. But anyway, that guy was awesome, and she's not as much. I married an official who worked for the Chinese Ministry of National Defense, she says. I chose him because he was the most willing to talk about his work when we worked together. So I played the role of the dutiful wife while secretly reporting relevant information back to my American superiors. But then things got complicated. And also, this is not the first time she refers to, she hints, really, at the distinction of women and men in Chinese society, which is actually not at all like the one in the U.S. or was not, and still isn't at all. That distinction, traditionally and historically, communist countries have a much higher equality between the genders, and she's kind of, the way she's talking is as if she lived in the U.S. basically. It's like the dutiful wife. It's not that there's not that much of an attitude like that. Well, at least stereotypically, and since this is the only one, it's kind of, I don't know. When I say stereotypically, I mean generally. But anyway, chose him, and so I played the role of a dutiful wife while secretly reporting relevant information back to my American superiors. But then things got complicated. My father was contacted by Dr. Reynard Moldrake, an old colleague he had worked with during his time in the U.S. Or in the States. Dr. Moldrake urgently requested a private meeting. But my father was in poor health at the time and was in no condition to travel to America. Dr. Moldrake agreed to meet me in his place. Yeah? Well, it turned out Moldrake was part of a top-secret project at a West Tech research facility in Southern California. Which is not where we are. This is not West Tech, right? This is government. Huh. The project had started off innocently enough, and as an attempt to find a way to make people immune to the new plague. Yeah, well, it's not new. Is it new plague? I don't think it was new plague. Maybe she knew something else, because I never read about new plague. But it quickly evolved into something more sinister. Yeah, I know about that. It's the FEV, of course. Something called the Forced Evolutionary Virus. It had the potential to greatly enhance a person's strength and intellect, but the FEV was dangerously unstable. Despite this, the military hoped that to use it to create an army of super soldiers that could crush the Chinese. Yep, that's what they wanted. Dr. Moldrake was against the change in the project's direction, but kept his mouth shut out of fear for his life. But when he learned that the military was testing the virus on unsuspecting small American towns, he knew he had to take action. The world needed to know the truth. Yeah, so that's why we got that setup before about when we read about the FEV being because we read about that here in the EPA. We read about the FEV being tested in small U.S. villages, which I said makes no sense. Because he doesn't, I don't think, but, well, whatever. It could be a logistics thing. So that's when he contacted your father, right? Right. When I met him, he gave me a holodisk containing classified documentation of the FEV project. That put me in a rather difficult position, she says. I could release the information contained on the holodisk and betray the country I'd sworn my loyalty to, or I could destroy the disk and bury the ugly truth from the people. Wait a minute, so... Yeah, so he was defecting himself. But do I know who this guy is? I don't think so. I don't think I've heard of this guy. Moldrake. I sent copies of the holodisk to just about every major news outlet in the world. It pretty much destroyed whatever sympathy the American government still had. I might have revealed the truth to the world, but I'm afraid I also set in motion its destruction. Things escalated quickly, and 8 months later, the bombs were dropped. This is not in lore. This can't be. This is not what happened. I'm pretty sure this is not what happened. In the, this can't be. The defection of the Brotherhood happened about a couple of weeks before And they mentioned nothing like this. And in fact, the people didn't care. No, maybe people did care, because we have one thing about you guys remember that holidays where it said that people thought the escalating tensions between the U.S. and China were just a distraction from the love affair that the president was having. That was just that's not in lore, that's not canon, that particular holidays, because that was apparently just made as a fun thing, a fun joke by the army dudes and dudettes there in that place. How did you end up in that tank where I found you? The American government was hunting for the person responsible for leaking the information. Oh, they finally caught up with me just before the end. They were already preparing to freeze me when the sirens first sounded, probably to preserve me in case I had any more secrets I hadn't told them. Now that makes even less sense, because the other one I think is just contradictory of what we learned already, but this one makes no sense. Why didn't they just kill you? Did you have any other secrets? It doesn't matter now. Everyone's dead. Do you have any idea what the hell you... What? No, that didn't. Let's go with this one. She didn't bring the hell. She is not the cause of the apocalypse. I know what you must be thinking, but you can't blame yourself for something like that. Well, it's always easier not to accept responsibility. Well, you couldn't have known. Besides, there were other conflicts between the powers. They would have blown each other up sooner or later. And they did! It was only a matter of time. Humans are the worst things, she says. Well, I don't consider myself that bad, apparently. Why do I say this? Nature's been trying to wipe us out for millennia. All these new diseases, natural disasters. We were soon, and also aging. You know how terrible aging is? It kills pretty much a lot of people. Not actually a lot of people. A lot less people than we would like, but yeah. We're some kind of evolutionary mistake. That's the definition of it. Anyway, maybe we came about too early or weren't supposed to come about at all. We've done more damage to this planet than anything living or dead. Where did you get this data? Oh, but we can atone for it. That's the special thing about us. You've got an awfully nice way of putting it. Thanks for hearing me out. I almost feel like I can move on. Yeah, say, since you were a spy, I'm sure you're pretty skilled at stealth and all that. Anything you can teach me? Yes, I've had quite a bit of practice with sneaking, lockpicking, and stealing. Here, let me show you a few things they don't teach you in the books. You've got it. You've got it now. Remember, practice makes perfect. Okay, thanks. Okay, let's see how good she made me. Probably about 7 over here, and excuse the hiccup. Probably about 7 over there. Yeah, so she teaches me a few things. About your eyes. What about them? What's the term for it? Oh, there it is. Not poly. Did I say poly? Heterochromia, that's the one. Is that what you have? Mine isn't a natural condition, she says. The one on the left didn't belong to me. I lost the old one in an accident, and I've never learned to appreciate that until now. What do you mean? Ever since the transplant, I always felt like I was seeing the past in one eye and the present in the other. More so than ever now. And that helps me carry on. What? Well, we all have our ways of coping, I guess. Not really sure what she meant by that, but... let's see. What about your gear? What can you use? I have a black belt in Sancho. Sancho? I have no idea. I don't know what that is. I can stab a man to death if the situation calls for it. How about a woman? Can't you? Pistols, rifles, and the like I'm decent with. Okay. So let's look at her combat control. Is she very powerful? No, she's not very strong, I should say. Let's go into custom over here. And just see how she handles. She's pretty configurable. But I'm gonna go with a vampire. Who wouldn't want to have a vampire with us? I'm not sure if it is a vampire. I hope it is. But, yeah. That was Kitsune. I have no idea why I think of her name as something, but it might be just a character in a manga or anime or something. But let me see what she has in her inventory. She's got pearls. Can I? The necklace. Okay, well, that's that. Let's reload to the beginning of the episode, and let's release the vampire. Retrieve the test subject, place the RS over here. Sergeant Christopher Cat Jules. Retrieving the test subject. Unless he's a scumbag, in which case I probably will not take him, because Kitsune wasn't a scumbag, at least according to what she said. So everything seems to be in order, everything seems to be normal. And there he is. As you approach the cryogenic chamber, you see a slender, naked black man sprawled on the floor. His muscular body is still shaking from the icy cold water. He looks up. It's not water, is it? Anyway, he looks up at you as you approach. Who are you? Standing up and shaking himself dry like a wet animal, the man looks at you and smirks, revealing some oddly sharp front teeth. Who am I? Who are you? You look like a heavily armed hobo. Yeah, well, yeah, I'm Daryl. But what's your name? My name's Sergeant Jules, but you can call me Cat. I'm the fastest and best-looking soldier on this base. Well, sure. Whatever you say. What's this place? This is some government facility as far as I know. They do all kinds of top-secret research, but, and he looks around the room. It's awfully quiet. Where's everybody? Well, this is probably going to come as a shock to you, but you've been frozen for over a century. The world's not the same anymore. They dropped the bombs, and the Earth went silent. Society is still trying to rebuild itself from the ashes. Sergeant Jules looks at you with a raised eyebrow. You ain't kidding, are you? Well, they actually followed through with it then. Damn. Guess I'm lucky to have been pulled from the military and brought here, huh? You were in the army? Well, he's a sergeant, so I suppose he was. Yep, I was the energy weapons expert. Pretty nimble on my feet, too. I was only in the army for about a year before I was reassigned here. It's a shame I'll never see any of my friends again. I would have liked to have, exchanged some goodbyes. Well, I'm sorry for your losses, but you have to move on. Wallowing in your own misery won't get you anywhere. Yeah, I guess you're right. What am I going to do now, though? Well, I could use a companion. Would you join me? Hey, why not? I'll show you this cat has still got what it takes. Okay, let's go. Don't get me wrong, it's good to stick together, but you are taking this a little bit too far. Come back when you got less people. Now, while you're making room, I'm going to find some clothing to wear. And looks around. Cat Jules spots a locker, opens it, and looks inside. Hey, these really are not my style, but I guess they will do. And he quickly puts the clothing on. All right, let me know when you're ready. Okay, that's it for now. And let me get some glasses on me, because I never have them. Right there. Hey, sir. Let's go, and let's have a chat with you. That Mr. Handy's gonna blow up. So, how did you end up with that cryo chamber? And what happened to your teeth? Well, I used to be the guard for one of the genetic labs. They were messing with human and feline DNA. Oh, so he's actually... Oh, that's cool. Trying to make something with the best of both worlds, I suppose. And, well, and that's where yours truly comes in. Cat flashes you his toothy green. They wanted to volunteer for one of their projects. It was for scouts and the like, supposed to make you more agile and flexible. I like the sound of that, and he leers. Anyway, they gave me this shot, put me under, and the next thing I knew, I had these teeth. And I felt sharper? Kind of predatory. Go on. Well, apparently the experiment wasn't going as planned, and whatever they put inside me wasn't sitting well with my system. I don't know what they meant by that. Since I felt better than ever, they decided to throw me in the cryo freezer until they figured out what to do with me. And then I thawed you out. Seems like you owed me one. Yeah, you saved me. In return, maybe I can save your sense of style, monkey. Monkey? Must be the cat DNA talking. That's all I need to know for now. Since you were in the army, you think you might be able to teach me anything? Well, I might be able to teach you a thing or two about energy weapons and other big weapons. Now, you have to remember... And he just teaches me a bunch of stuff. There you go. That should help you melt these mutants. Those mutants who get in your way. Well, thank you. Not really fighting mutants, but sure. Let's see. Okay, so he's got a lot of stuff on him. He's not very strong. He's probably very good. Let's ask him what he's good at. About your gear. What kind of weapons can you use? Well, I was trained to use military stuff. Rifles, pistols, SMGs, and the like. I prefer laser weapons and the like better though. Those have style, but if you give me some brass knuckles and one of those power fists, I'll pounce on any flat-floated goons before they know what hit them. Okay, well, that's it for now. I think I'm gonna go with him. But I'm not gonna kill her. I'm gonna kill you, but I'm not gonna kill her. Especially because there's no reason for it, but I'm gonna kill that guy. I'm just gonna try and get him out. Anyway, that's gonna be that for right now. I'm Colonel RPG, and this has been Fallout 2. I really hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did, go ahead and leave a comment. Like the video if you want to see the next episode come out sooner rather than later, but above all, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you next episode. Bye-bye!